Who wants to win top lane at level 1? Well, there isn't anyone in the world who doesn't want to, so guys, in this video, this gameplay, we're going to be watching a Master Aatrox against a Garen, and in this top lane matchup, the Aatrox can actually win lane at level 1, even though Garen ends up getting first blood in this game. So what on earth is it? What are the key tips and tricks here that this dude can actually use and apply instantly in his games to win, even if Garen has an item advantage before the lane has even begun? So of course, we'll get into these concepts, and guys, any questions about the gameplay? If you think I've missed something, or you think the Aatrox or even Garen should play differently, let us know in the comment section. And of course, if you do want more analytical videos like these on YouTube, make sure you leave a like down below so we know that you guys actually do enjoy watching them. And this is kind of a taste of what we're uploading currently on our website. So at GameLeap.com, link down below in the description and comment section. If you want even more in-depth laning phase analyses just like this, check out our website. We have so much content being uploaded daily, and just like in this video, I'm going to show you in all of the ones that I'm currently uploading pretty much what the best players in the world do that is still kind of bad that you will know about as well. It's such a big advantage by getting signed up to our website, so make sure you do just that. And yeah, let's get into the level 1. So in this game, the enemy team invades the bot side of the map, right? And Garen ends up getting first blood. This is really bad. But in this situation, as soon as you know all 5 enemy champions are invading the bottom side of the map, why doesn't Aatrox or Lilia, or both of them, think about invading the top side of the map? This is just a basic macro trade, right? If you want something on the bottom side of the map, I'm going to take something on the top side of the map. Now, this will probably only be a trinket, maybe on the red buff. That might be it. But still, this means something. Otherwise, Garen just gets first blood for free. But it is important to note here that this is a Cull side Garen. Now, he does get a longsword and he TPs back to lane. So it is still very winnable for Aatrox. Now, what he does here where he hits this minion, this is actually kind of good because it almost guarantees he'll hit level 2 first because Garen hasn't touched the wave, but it also means that the first 3 melee minions, their HP will be staggered. So Aatrox will be able to last hit these most likely. He doesn't actually have to use his Q or a cooldown to last hit them. And you can apply this on any champion, right? So auto attack the first melee minion to stagger the HP. But as Garen is TPing into lane here, Aatrox is kind of standing a bit too passive. And this is one big kind of like concept in this laning phase. And remember, this is Master Elo. So if these guys can improve, no doubt pretty much everyone watching, if you are below Master, that is, can improve as well. This concept is just called space. Garen is giving so much space here to Aatrox, right? Because he's TPing back to lane. This means that Aatrox can stand wherever he wants. Lots of people, when they have this decision, just stand on top of the minion wave. But actually, the better position is to stand well above or even past the minion wave here, because when Garen comes back, you might be able to zone him off the minions. Now, whether this means Aatrox is just queuing from a distance, that might be it, right? But it's an opportunity to damage the enemy champion for pretty much free. Now, if we continue, Aatrox is playing a little bit passive because he does want to secure these minions, and if he does Q the Garen in this position, that means that he's going to hit the Garen's range minions. This will push the wave more than he wants to, right? So Aatrox's goal, and this goes the same for any top laner who has the push, should be to damage the enemy champion without hitting the minions. This is actually crucial because it means that the minion wave will stay away from Garen's tower as long as possible, making the lane more difficult. Now, thankfully, Garen actually engages onto Aatrox very close to Aatrox's minions, and Aatrox, because he has bone plating, hard wins this trade. And what Aatrox does after this is actually the concept we just talked about, this concept of space. Garen, because he's on cooldown here, and Aatrox, having this massive HP diff, he's able to push the Garen away from the minions by moving past beyond the minion wave. This is such a huge deal because this will give you leads in lane. It's not just about gaining for yourself, it's also, and maybe even more important, to think about denying the enemy top lane. Otherwise, there's going to be no diff in this top lane and you're just going to rely on your 4 teammates, and who wants to do that? So Aatrox last hitting these minions on Garen's side of the lane is 5 hit. It really pressures Garen and just stops him from being able to move up to the minions. Now, when the next wave comes in, and whatever time that is in your games, we do have to respect it because there will be a lot of red minions, and if Garen ran into Aatrox in this position, it would be difficult to fight and actually win. But Garen actually makes a massive mistake here, and this is where Aatrox can actually kill him, but Aatrox's reasoning here is just because he was really scared of Garen's Q, and this is in Master Elo. Now, the reason he's scared of Garen's Q is simply because he doesn't understand his own cooldowns and how they work. So when Garen goes for this melee minion here, he's running in with his Q. Now, remember, the Aatrox has both summoners and ignite, right? So he has all the pressure in this lane and the HP diff. So when Garen runs in, yes, okay, he might be able to Q the Aatrox, but as Aatrox, you should welcome this. So the key understanding here is that Aatrox, even though you're on cooldown for a second or two, in terms of your Q, if you fight the enemy champion, you're going to have those cooldowns back up for the fight at some point. It's almost like you're playing in the future. So as soon as Garen Qs in for a minion, Aatrox should be moving towards the Garen, and he can just Q rescue him when Garen runs away. This would 100% if Aatrox did this, get Garen's flash. And to be honest, Garen should be thanking some sort of like higher order here, because there's no way he should ever be allowed to get this minion for free. Now when Aatrox hits level 2, he goes for an EQ combo here. Now this is actually kind of okay, because he damages Garen for free. It's pretty much impossible for Garen, given this HP diff, to ever really fight the Aatrox unless Aatrox runs under his tower. Also, the Aatrox comboing like this, well, he only clipped one ranged minion. It's not like he's damaging all of the ranged minions here, so this keeps the wave in this position for as long as possible, so that chip damage, no worries at all. Remember how we just talked about, right? We want to be fighting the enemy top laner away from minions as much as possible. Now moving forward here, kind of the same thing, right? This idea of space. Why can't Aatrox auto-attack these minions behind the wave? This means he's closer to Garen. But in this situation, you might be like, Aatrox's Q is actually on like a 5-6 second cooldown here. It might be risky to move towards the Garen. Now for sure, if Garen starts moving towards Aatrox because Aatrox's Q is not on a low enough cooldown to actually engage in a fight with the Garen, then Aatrox will simply just run back. You'd almost mirror the Garen's movement. But as soon as Aatrox's Q is on like a 3-second cooldown, we know that fight can easily last 3 seconds. So Aatrox could engage at that point. And because we're so much stronger, that's what we want. So taking space here again, Aatrox is given that opportunity, but doesn't actually take it. Now Garen at this point actually does the right thing. He's kind of just chilling, right? He knows he cannot contest this minion wave. Now with this next minion wave, what should Aatrox do? So Aatrox in this game almost slow pushes this minion wave. The problem with that is that the next minion wave is going to collide under Garen's tower. And who wants that? That means we have to hit the minions and Garen under his tower. Very hard to do, right? So what we want to create for the next minion wave, given the leftovers we have from the previous wave, you can see here that Aatrox pretty much has a minion wave advantage. So what we want to do is crash this wave. That means that our minions, the blue minions, get into the enemy tower as soon as possible, and hopefully Garen and that enemy tower kill the minions before the next wave gets to lane as soon as possible. So what you're going to watch here is Aatrox kind of pushing, but not really, and the fourth wave is going to get stuck under the enemy's tower. So Aatrox has to be very careful about taking minion aggro, and if I'm Garen, I'm kind of just chilling and thanking Aatrox for just giving me minion waves, because that's essentially what you're doing when you're managing waves like this. Timing the crash and actually committing to it is one of the big blunders that so many people make, so many top laners make who aren't challenger. So Aatrox might be able to get off a little bit of damage, but honestly, it's largely just a wasted time because it's not going to mean anything in the near future. Now, eventually, this minion wave will come back to the middle of the lane. But what I'm saying is, Aatrox could have made it happen like 30 seconds to a minute sooner, therefore making Garen's life more difficult. That's always what you should be thinking about. What is the enemy top laner going to be most unhappy about? And when this lane resets, Aatrox stands in a decent position. He's standing kind of close to the Garen, almost behind the minion wave, so he's gaining as much space as possible, but does move back a little bit too far here. He is a little bit scared about the enemy jungler, but again, if he was scared, he could just save his cooldowns. But shortly after this, the Garen decides to engage with the Aatrox when his E is down, and Aatrox, obviously because of that, is going to hard win this trade. But once again, the ensuing kind of positioning here, well, it's kind of questionable. Aatrox, after chasing the Garen, runs all the way back kind of into his own minions here. What I'm saying is, on this next minion wave, why can't Aatrox stand like in the top brush and zone the Garen? Maybe even behind this minion wave, because he's so much stronger, right? He has Ignite still, he has all his cooldowns back up, he has a massive HP diff, but he's just standing in the minion wave. Also, with this minion wave, if you're asking why can't he just shove this, well, he could shove this, but it will be a dirty crash. What we always want to try and do is create a clean crash. So one where the next wave comes back near the middle. If he crashes this like he's doing, it would just take too much time. So if you only have 3 to 4 minions guys left over from the previous wave and it's still near the equator of your lane, be very careful about shoving. Only a few champions can do this, so like Aurelia might be one. If you have a Tiamat in the early game as another champion, for sure you might be able to do it, but as Aatrox is going to be very difficult. And because we don't hard shove this quick enough, based on our leftover minions and the position of the lane, again, the pattern repeats. We have to play against Garen under his tower, and this early game advantage that we really had at level 1, because we chunked the Garen, it just really dissipates. So hopefully guys, this video was useful. Take these tips and tricks with you into your games in the top lane, and I will see you in our next preseason 13 upload. This has been Peace.